I want to start by just thanking our staff. We got a tremendous group of people that prepare us throughout the year. It's it's a blessing to be able to work with the people we have in our organization and the lengths they go to try to prepare us for these types of nights. It makes my job much easier to know that I have people that are so committed to our organization and understanding the vision for the Thunder. So Troy Weaver, Will Dawkins, I could go down the line of people, but very important to recognize them. None of these decisions are made individually. We really are excited to welcome Mitch and Josh to the organization. We think both of those guys fit the profile of the types of players that we're looking for, and we're really excited to watch them grow within the organization. We did have one other small transaction at the end of the draft. Until that's finalized, I've been instructed that I can't speak about it directly, but I'm sure we'll be doing that in the near future. If I could, I'd just like to talk a little bit about Mitch. We're thrilled to add a player like McGary. He's a guy that has an incredible amount of intangibles that we look for. Number one, he brings an energy and a physicality to the floor. He is a guy that plays with a great basketball IQ and is able to play a couple different positions. And then I think the last thing that is really, really impressive to us, and the reason why we value him even more, is he's an incredible teammate, just an incredible teammate. And that was on display, during the season when he missed a significant amount of time. I felt like I was scouting him on the bench while he wasn't playing. The way he engaged with his teammates, his support was unwavering, his enthusiasm was unwavering, and combine that with his skill set and intangibles, and that's a Thunder player for us. Josh is a guy that has, again, tremendous winning qualities, a guy that has tremendous length. He's able to guard multiple positions, and the other thing about him that's very apparent is he may be one of the best athletes that's walked through our gym. His athletic testing numbers, in combination with his intelligence as a player and team member, makes a very, very intriguing package for us. And we're always looking for athletes, but we're also looking for guys that are athletic in the roles that they play. And we think this guy has an opportunity to develop. It's our expectation that he'll be spending some time in Tulsa. With that said, we need to sit down with him tomorrow and continue those conversations. But we're really excited to add a player and a person of his caliber. So with that, I'd take any questions.
Sam, when did even despite the injuries to McGary and his trouble, some of the things he had in the past, what stood out the most about him that made you feel he could be part of the Thunder organization?
Well, one thing about Mitch is he's been a guy that we've watched for quite a while. He was eligible for the draft coming out of prep school. He did go to prep school in New England, which is where I'm from originally, and I feel like I know a lot about him. And I think that our staff has done an excellent job of identifying the skill set that he brings to the table in terms of just not only being a physical player, but also a really intelligent player with the ball at his size. So a combination of things, but he's a guy that has winning qualities and incredible amount of enthusiasm and energy that he brings to the floor on a day in and day out basis.
What position do you see him playing?
We think he can play two positions. We think he can play 4 and 5. That's one of the things that we like about him quite a bit. Physically, he's going to be able to hold his ground. His passing ability is certainly intriguing. But I think the number one thing with him is he's going to do what it takes to win. And, those are the types of players that we want to try to continue to layer our team with, both now and in the future.
Did you feel like you couldn't get him at 29?
Well, I mean, for us, we try to get the players where we have them on the board. And, we felt like, the opportunity to add him to the team is valuable. And I can't project, what happens behind us, but when you have a player that you think fits not only, your playing identity, but also kind of fits into your roster building construction, as you look forward, I think he was not only a playing addition, but also I think a strategic roster building addition as well.
How did he convince you that the marijuana issue would no longer be an issue?
Well, how he handled that situation, quite frankly, he took accountability. He showed that, he was remorseful, and he's said that publicly that he's really learned from it. We've done an incredible amount of due diligence on him, and quite honestly on all the players in the draft leading up to this. We only get to pick so many, but we do the same amount of work on everybody. And if I wasn't comfortable with the work that we've done over the last 3 years, then we wouldn't have moved forward with him.
Josh, what stood out to you about the way that he impacts the game defensively?
I think, again, I have to give Troy Weaver an incredible amount of credit for just the way that he's followed Josh over time. And one of the things that we identified, after watching him was he's a low mistake player on the defensive end. His ability to be in schemes, not only as a young player, but as an elite athlete, is really impressive. This is a guy that, as we look out and we look forward, has the size, but also the speed to deal with a lot of different situations on the floor. And, the way the game is being played, speed, quickness, length, and athleticism are things that are highly valued in the NBA. And getting somebody that not only has that, but also has a certain makeup that we think fits well within our team is something we wanted to add.
Sam, can you talk about calling both these guys tonight and what those calls were like and talking about them?
Well, some of the best calls you get to make, I'll give you 2 examples. Some of the best calls you get to make is draft night calls, because it's a culmination of a lot of hard work and sacrifice that's gone in to these players' careers. With that being said, you can hear, in the background most of the time, excitement, family members, and things like that make you realize, these guys only get drafted one time. Can only happen once. And to be able to welcome them into professional basketball is a great thing. The worst calls you have to make are obviously when you have to let somebody go or you're trading somebody. So there's a real dichotomy. I'm glad that once a year you get to make these.
Is Josh similar to Tabo, and were you looking for someone in that mold?
Well, we look at every player kind of in their own right. So we're not looking to replicate one player or another. I can see the similarities that people would draw to, but for us, it's a combination of things with Josh. One, we feel like he's got a significant upside. 2, as I said before, athletically and from a power standpoint, it's a rare combination in terms of size and length. But again, just he's got a very, very good feel on the defensive end for the little things, and we're looking forward to working with him.
How's Mitchell's back now? Is he fully healed? Is he back on the court? Is he playing?
Well, we'll get a look at him when he gets in here. He'll be here tomorrow. Obviously, that'll be one of the first things we do. We've done a lot of work, and we're pretty aggressive, early on at Michigan, and we've got a lot of confidence that he's in a position to have a very productive career. But we got to see where he is, when he comes in.
Is he out for summer league?
I don't know that for sure. Again, we got to see where he is when he gets in here tomorrow, and we'll take it from there.
Do Josh's skills overlap Andre's at all, or are they similar defenders? I mean, you just hear perimeter defenders.
Oh, yeah, well, I think Andre is he's a unique player in terms of just his pure size, his instincts, and his ability to rebound the ball. I mean, you don't lead college basketball in rebounding 2 years in a row unless you've just got a knack and tenacity. But they're basketball players, and one thing that they have in common is the versatility, length, speed, athleticism, and the other thing I would say is that they're team-oriented individuals. They're guys that understand how to be a part of something. And as I said before, Josh is somebody that is, we expect to spend a significant amount of time, working with him in Tulsa. But I wouldn't say that they're the same types of players.
Do you think you filled whatever needs that you think the team had coming into the draft with the selection of these two players?
Well, we're not. We know, and we've talked about this. You're not going to solve, all your areas in one evening. Tonight was just one step in the process of evaluating all our options in the off season. We're going to look at everything we can to try to improve the team. As I said earlier, when we met at the end of the season, we feel really good about where we are. The base that we have coming out of the draft, we feel better. But we still have some things we gotta look to address and figure out how we put it all together. But first step of the off season was transaction wise is the draft, and we feel great about how we walked out of this, and we'll take that into free agency on the 1st.
Does this impact at all what you do the rest of the summer? And the reason I asked that because there was a thought process that maybe you didn't want to bring in two young guys that are going to be on your payroll, and that maybe you draft a foreign guy, stash, and those kind of deals. But now you got two guys that will definitely be on your payroll. Does that impact how you handle free agency or anything else?
Well, when we're always looking at roster construction, that's one of our jobs is to figure out how to balance the cycles of teams, and it remains to be seen what it looks like at the end when we're finished. So we feel great about where we are. Like I said before, with that being said, we still have some flexibility to make some additions and figure some things out. But as I said before, we're not going to solve all that in one evening. We want to first and foremost get the types of guys and the types of players that we covet. From there, work with them and figure, the best way to put them in positions to be successful. But our philosophy has always been, if you see something that you feel like fits your organization, you need to be aggressive with that.
Did you promise Mitch at 21?
Yeah, the question I understand, just based on the social media world, when it comes to those types of things, I'm not sure what that really means. I think, we don't control the players, and the players don't control the teams. We pick from who's on the board, and I guess that's the only way I can answer that question. I don't think that there's really any such thing, because anyone can pick anybody.
Did you think this draft was as deep as everyone seemed to say?
I think it was a definitely a deep draft. I think the draft is changing a little bit, though. I think when you see the values that the picks are being, sold for in the second round, the way that the D-League is being used and the rules that have changed in the D-League now, where you can draft players and have them assigned, or not assigned, but allocated automatically, that's changed the draft. There's no question about it, and that was reflected in the second round this evening. I think every team has a different set of circumstances that they're dealing with, and that affects, I think, drafting strategy. And I think that should affect the different values that teams place on different players. So I think the draft is going through a bit of a evolution, and it's kind of interesting to see how every team is looking to try to utilize that.
Sam, with the roster you guys have in place, it doesn't seem like you would maybe need Mitch to come in and be a guy that can play right away, but do you foresee with his skill set and where he is that he could play significant minutes?
You know, I don't know the answer to that. You know, obviously the minutes and roles and things of that nature, that's up to Scott. What I do foresee is a lot of energy, a lot of competitiveness, and a lot of spirit. You know, and that, as I said before, you know, I was going to watch Michigan this year, and he's out there before, you know, he's injured and he's in a suit, but he's out there, you know, revving his teammates up. And there's a lot of guys that wouldn't be able to do that. You know, when he's in the gym, I believe that, you know, the level of play is going to be raised because he cares. He cares.
McGary had a real high-profile run through the Final Four last year. Is that a pretty good snapshot of what he brings to the table?
You know, we always say, you know, we're always trying to look at a full body of work. So I think it's challenging to isolate anyone's performance, good or bad, over the NCAA tournament. But I think, you know, I think it's not so much about what he's done to get here; it's about what he does when he gets here. And I'm confident that he's gonna work as hard as he can to find a way to impact the team.
What do you think of Commissioner Silver's postponement of the proceedings to honor Isaiah Austin? And as a guy who's in the room, in the draft room at that time, like, what's it like when they just basically stop the draft to do something like that? I mean, what are you doing in that moment? Are you watching it and kind of appreciating that moment, or are you still trying to do whatever you're doing?
Well, I think first and foremost, anything like that happens, it takes the world we live in, the basketball world, the community. I'm sorry, I should say the basketball community. It stops people and, you know, makes them realize, you know, the reality of things. I think it speaks to Adam and just his awareness to a lot of different things. I think he's done a fabulous job, and that's just another example of just kind of the outreach of the league and you know, bringing our players, the players of the league, you know, into a different light, a different appreciation. I think it's a really great gesture. So I'm proud to be associated with a league that would do that.
Did you see it? Were you able to catch it?
I caught part of it. We don't have the volume on, so it's, you know, it's clear what was happening, and there was some conversation about it while it was happening.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, guys.